The breadbasket of Europe burns. Tanks roll across fertile fields, once vibrant cities now scarred by shelling. The world watches in horror as a nation fights for its survival. This is Ukraine, 2025. A land at war, grappling with a conflict that has reshaped the geopolitical landscape and unleashed a humanitarian crisis. Families huddle in subway stations transformed into makeshift shelters. Soldiers bid tearful goodbyes, uncertain if they will see their loved ones again. The cost of war is etched on faces etched with fear and loss. Yet, amidst the devastation, the spirit of resistance flickers. Civilians take up arms, determined to defend their homeland. The world witnesses their resilience, their unwavering courage in the face of overwhelming odds. This is the story of the Russia-Ukraine war, a conflict born from a complex web of history, ideology, and geopolitics. A conflict that has shaken the world and forced us to confront uncomfortable truths. To understand the present, we must journey back to the past. To 1991, the year the Soviet Union crumbled, and Ukraine, once a republic within its vast empire, tasted the sweet nectar of independence. Millions embraced this newfound freedom, eager to chart their own destiny. But the ghost of the Soviet past lingered, a specter haunting Ukraine's future. The collapse of the Soviet Union left behind a geopolitical vacuum. NATO, the Western military alliance, expanded eastward, embracing former Soviet satellites. Russia, under the rising leadership of Vladimir Putin, viewed this expansion with growing suspicion, a betrayal of assurances made during the tumultuous fall of the Soviet Empire. For Putin, Ukraine held special significance, a land intertwined with Russia through centuries of shared history, culture, and faith. He saw Ukraine's drift towards the West as a threat, a challenge to Russia's sphere of influence. The stage was set for a clash of civilizations, a struggle for the soul of a nation caught in the middle. The year 2014 marked a turning point. Protests erupted in Ukraine's Maidan Square, fueled by anger over corruption and a pro-Russian government's rejection of closer ties with the European Union. The protests, met with brutal force, ultimately led to the ouster of the pro-Russian president. Russia, fearing the loss of its influence, responded swiftly. In a move that shocked the world, Russian forces annexed the Crimean Peninsula, a strategically important region with a majority Russian-speaking population. Simultaneously, a simmering conflict erupted in eastern Ukraine's Donbas region. Russian-backed separatists, fueled by Kremlin propaganda and military support, clashed with Ukrainian forces. A proxy war began, claiming thousands of lives and displacing millions. Peace talks faltered and the conflict festered, a festering wound on the European continent. The world held its breath as the calendar flipped to 2022. Russian troops amassed on Ukraine's borders, their presence casting a long shadow over the fragile peace. Diplomatic efforts to avert disaster proved futile. On February 24, 2022, the world watched in disbelief as Russian forces launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Explosions rocked cities across the country, shattering the illusion of peace. Putin justified the invasion as a special military operation aimed at denazifying and demilitarizing Ukraine. He accused the Ukrainian government of being controlled by neo-Nazis, and claimed that NATO's eastward expansion posed an existential threat to Russia's security. The international community condemned the invasion as a violation of international law and an assault on Ukraine's sovereignty. The West responded with swift and unprecedented sanctions, targeting Russia's economy and its political elite. The world watched in horror as the conflict unfolded, a grim reminder of the fragility of peace in the 21st century. The invasion of Ukraine sent shockwaves through the global order, exposing deep divisions within the international community. The West, led by the United States and its European allies, presented a united front, condemning Russia's actions and providing military and humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. However, other major powers such as China and India refrained from condemning Russia outright, choosing instead to maintain a neutral stance. This divide highlighted the complexities of the geopolitical landscape and the challenges of forging a unified response to the crisis. The conflict also laid bare the hypocrisy of the West, with many pointing to its selective outrage and its history of interventions in the Middle East and elsewhere. The war in Ukraine became a touchstone for debates about international law, the use of force, and the limits of Western power. In the age of social media and instant communication, the battle for hearts and minds raged alongside the conflict on the ground. Both sides engaged in a relentless information war, seeking to control the narrative and sway public opinion. Social media platforms became echo chambers, amplifying propaganda and disinformation. Deep fakes, manipulated images, and outright lies blurred the lines between truth and fiction. Navigating this information landscape proved treacherous. Distinguishing fact from fiction became a Herculean task, requiring critical thinking, media literacy, and a healthy dose of skepticism. Beyond the geopolitical complexities and the fog of information, the human cost of the war remained the most heart-wrenching aspect of the conflict. Millions of Ukrainians were displaced from their homes, fleeing to neighboring countries or seeking refuge in other parts of Ukraine. Families were torn apart, their lives shattered by the violence. The psychological scars of war, the trauma inflicted on both Ukrainian and Russian soldiers and civilians, would linger long after the guns fell silent. The war in Ukraine served as a stark reminder of the human toll of conflict, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the urgent need for peace. As the war entered its third year, the front lines remained largely static, with neither side able to achieve a decisive victory. Trench warfare, reminiscent of the conflicts of the 20th century, became the dominant feature of the battlefield. Despite the stalemate, the fighting continued, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The world watched with bated breath, uncertain of the conflict's trajectory and its potential to escalate into a wider European or even global war. The future of Ukraine, once a beacon of hope for democracy and freedom in the post-Soviet space, hung precariously in the balance. The Russia-Ukraine War, a conflict etched in the annals of history, serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fragility of peace and the enduring consequences of unchecked aggression. It is a story of shattered lives, broken dreams, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. As the world grapples with the conflict's fallout, it is essential to remember the lessons learned, to strive for a future where dialogue and diplomacy prevail over violence and destruction. The echoes of war reverberate through time, urging us to choose peace over conflict, understanding over hatred, and empathy over indifference.